remember that had a mini billboard there where you could advertise your
Yeah.
business.
Well, you know, the Dunwoody Homeowners Association, which was who ruled Dunwoody before they became a city, they would come in and, you know, I'd put in a little, you know, kind of a bandit sign,
Right.
and then they would take it and they'd throw it in the woods. And I never knew who was doing it. I just thought, you know, it was vandalism.
Right.
So I got it. I got one with a metal frame, and I chained it to the big sign so they couldn't move it.
Okay. So I would assume that that particular advertisement brought you a lot of business.
Well, you know, a lot of people went through that little cut through street. Yeah.
Every day, actually.
And I tell people, yeah, I was on that old cut through street behind the Dunkin' Donuts, and everybody knows what that is.
Yes, they
So,
do.
you know, I was a young businessman trying to get started with my business, and I wanted to make sure, obviously.
Have we started yet?
Yeah, y'all go for it.
So I wanted to make sure that, you know, we kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I kind of stayed on top of the little business that I had. And I remember as I first meeting with him, he was so cool and so supportive. And I didn't have much money at that time. And so John was very flexible with me, and I've come to find out he was flexible with a lot of people.
He's good.
I'm not that flexible anymore.
No,
everybody out there.
no,
You know, yeah.
But he always been. I mean,
Yeah.
and from that, you know, he's watched me grow. He's been a part of my son's growth. He's been such a real supporter and a brother. And so to see how he's grown his business over the years and the type of clients he has and relationships is pretty awesome. So kudos to you, man.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And, you know, for you, it's, yeah, you had a son, you had a little setback because he was autistic, and rather than feel sorry for yourself or feel sorry for him, you built a whole foundation around him dedicated to treating, curing, or living with autism. And, you know, so many people have circumstances and they have bumps in the road, and they don't react to it, and you know, you jumped on it and you took care of it, and you know, you turned it into a positive in one way of thinking.
Yeah, you know, and it's pretty cool when I think about it, because I didn't come to John to start the foundation, but he was aware of me developing the foundation and really trying to expand it. And my inexperience about running a foundation, I let certain things lapse, and we had become disqualified. So coming back, I says, now I got to go to my good friend to get me reinstated.
Mm-hmm.
And John really doesn't do foundations like that. And he says, we're going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, this young man here, John Broccoli.
Now all of a sudden we're doing a lot more of those, you know, because of what we learned. And, you know, unfortunately, several years ago, the IRS was not processing paper tax returns that nonprofit organizations were filing. And they, one year, administratively dissolved 125,000 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, well, but it was because they had the paperwork, but they didn't have the ability to process, I guess, in some way. So because it never got into the system,
right?
That's how it was treated. That's how you ended up getting dissolved, but we got it taken care of.
You got me reinstated.
We're back again.
I cried like a baby. When I saw that letter, I cried like a baby.
So, no, you can't do that.
So I just love you so much for doing that. Now we're up and running, and we're doing big things out here for a great cause. Obviously, my son is artistic. John has been like a stepdad to him. And we never turn his back on us. And I tell you, man, when you told me today that you were doing something like this, I just couldn't wait to get over here and be a part of what you're doing, and not only on the accounting side, but what you do for people.
Nope, I really appreciate it, and you know, it really is. It's very rewarding in a lot of ways, and not the least of which is to have the ability to help people. And see people with a vision, but understand that, you know, you have an idea, you know, you have your operations or whatever, and maybe but so many people neglect that third leg of the stool, which is the financial side, and understanding the numbers and the matters that go into things.
Right.
And because very few people are accountants. They say, "Oh, I'm going to go out and start my own business. I need marketing and operations help." Right? Usually, it's a marketing guy that starts his business, or it's an operations guy that starts his business, and then he needs some financial sophistication to do that.
Right.
So I think it's a good match, and it's something that we do, and and all your friends that you have brought to me and introduced have been a blessing, and I appreciate every single one of them. We're going to continue to move forward.
Well, I'm doing it for a friendship. I'm doing it because I love you, but most importantly, you do great work.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I hadn't had anybody that come to you and you have serviced them and say, "Hey, man, I don't know if I'm good." And if anything, it seems like the word of mouth has traveled for your business, and that's a pretty cool thing too, John. You have a great location here in Cobb, and you're well respected and well loved, and we're going to continue to do our end and making sure that obviously now I'm working with the Sheriff Department a little bit of Cobb County and the Mayor of Atlanta on their campaign. They love you. I saw you out the other day for Sheriff Owens' event, and obviously Mayor Dickens thinks the world of you too as well. So we're going to continue to support you any way we can. Yeah.
Well, it's always good to see the sheriff as he continues to evolve, as the city or the county continues to grow, and the complexity of his job has grown dramatically with all the international events coming into the metro Atlanta area, and how directly they do impact Cobb County and security. And the World Cup comes to town, and a few of the teams are practicing up here in Cobb County, or even other events like that, even basketball tournaments or the NCAA football, and all of those, they all impact the.
Hey John, do you take up? It used to be you could just walk up and knock on the door and come see you. I don't know if you do it like that anymore, but how do you handle new clients when they're looking for someone of your talent?
That's a really, really double-edged sword, between really having the desire to be accessible and the desire to help, and realizing that only a certain number of hours in a day, and that I do need to be in control of my schedule and my time. There's only so much brilliance to go around. Just kidding. But it is true, and
so no walk-ups like you used to be.
Yeah, this is like, oh gosh,
let me go by and knock on this door.
I got a 12:00 appointment, and I'm sitting here talking to somebody, and it's 2 minutes to 12, and it's a half an hour away, and then you want to be in two places at the same time sometimes. That's why we're doing more and more of these videos. We're doing more and more seminars and presentations.
Nice.
If I can talk to a group of 30 or 40 or 50 business owners at the same time,
that's
as opposed to making the same presentation one person at a time to 50 people, I think that becomes a little bit more efficient.
Better fit.
Then I think a lot of people that know me will understand that I have no problem talking to anybody at any particular point.
And I notice I see your son here every time I come in now. He sees
he's
at your desk.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of work. He's doing a lot of work for me.
That's pretty cool.
And what we're trying to do is free up a lot of my time. By having more and more folks in here doing the nuts and the bolts of the work, so I can get out on the theoretical side of things, which is always a great plus, because it's always a challenge to get the right people and the right staff and the people that work for you that complement you. And I think I've got some fantastic people working for me. And I'm very, very grateful for that, because, in reality, they don't work for me. They work for all of you guys. Right. They take care of your stuff. They keep you on top of things.
Yes.
They make sure things get done. And, if they're working hard and they're working tirelessly, they're doing it for you guys. They're not doing it for me, believe me.
Yes.
And that's the good thing about that, and that's what I love about what I do and how we can extend our reach a little bit more.
So that's what gets you up every morning and come to work because you really love what you do.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Well, you're talking about, my son when he was, below the size of this desk. He said I was getting up and got dressed. He said, "Dad, why are you going to work?" I said, "I got to go make some money." So I came back, I walk in the door. He's waiting for me at the door, and he says, "Let me see that money you made today."
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's good stuff.
And I said, "Yeah, I wish it came that fast and that easy." Oh. So as your business and what you have done continue to develop, what have you done as far as that is concerned, scaling, and what has been successful and what works? I mean, the thing I've always seen that's so good about you is your ability to relate to people, go to networking events, make connections. You're the diametric opposite of me. Everybody that meets you just instantly falls in love with you. No.
Well, I kind of envy that a little bit because I am probably 100% a people's person.
Yes.
But in terms of having skills as understanding math and understanding numbers and putting things here and putting things there, I don't know if that would fit me. I wish I could do that. But obviously, it's the ability to network people versus projects and things of that nature.
No question about it. And I think, like early in your career, one of the things that was frustrating for me is you'd take this guy and you'd introduce him to this guy,
right,
and they'd go off and make $1 million, and then it's like, did you guys forget about Ty? And there were a lot of those out there. And you left a lot of money on the table.
I did leave a lot of money on the table, but I learned from those mistakes, and along the way, I just got a little smarter and a little bit more, I would say, godly in a sense of, because having I just won the medical contract at Cobb County Jail. And I think about that contract. It took me 2 years to navigate it to winning it.
Yes.
And it's really interesting because I had the relationships and I worked it the best I could as a support mechanism for, at that time, the sheriff that was running for office. And it was really interesting because when they made a decision, the decision wasn't for us.
Right.
It was for another company.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely devastated. But something said it's going to be okay, even though if I don't get this or not. And lo and behold, they end up getting disqualified because of some issues they had. And so we end up being the second nominee, and we end up getting the contract.
Right.
So that's a godlike kind of quality there.
No,
so some deals don't just happen. They kind of have to all come together to make it work, and we got a blessing on that particular contract.
No, that's awesome. And I said I used to say that a lot. I didn't get any richer today, but I got a little smarter.
Yeah.
So maybe eventually you're smart enough so you can actually figure out how to monetize things.
Yeah. And so now it's interesting because for my business and my growth and development, I get more and more people asking for my service.
Right.
So now the key for me is, picking the right opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But I judge that not on so much the ability to manufacture or to serve, but I really kind of dig a little deeper and find the feelings of a person's heart and their character and that word integrity. Those are the things I look for. Money is money, deals are deals. I get that, but it's like you and I. Look at you. I mean, you took me in, and you knew at that time I didn't have a lot going, but I hope that you saw some good in me, obviously, and my character, and you held in there. You hung in there with me.
Right.
And so that I've taken that kind of approach that you've given me, and I use it in my development as a businessman and as a person.
I think success, one of the definitions of success is to be able to pick and choose the people you want to help and the ones you want to be successful and the ones you want to work with. And people that are I don't know, grateful is quite the right word, but certainly appreciative of your efforts. That treat you less as a commodity and as more of a process and as more of somebody that can do it. And it's not you do A, I do B, and it's transactional, it's relationship based, and I think that's what is important at the end of the day. As as what you're approaching your mid 40s, so you gotta allocate your time a little bit better.
That's right.
No, honestly, Ty just celebrated his 70th birthday.
Yeah.
He just happened to be born on September 15th, which is tax deadline day, what makes it hard for me to
come and
come
attend.
out.
I was looking for you when I had the
celebrate.
party. I said, "Where's my brother? Where's my brother?" But you made me feel good. You wished me happy birthday, and you said if I can make it, I'll be there. I knew then that's gonna be 50-50.
Well, it's like on the 15th, I put my deadline and I say, well, we're going to have everything done by noon. And then, around 11, it goes to 3, and then it goes to 6. And then it's like, if I'm at home by 9, I'll be happy. And then, yeah. So that's the way it always is said, because, there's always one more thing to be done, one more person to help, and one more person to serve. And,
Well, John, we have, as you know, we have the golf tournament coming up. We're going to do it October the 27th at Heritage Golf Course this year, because that's a bigger course. They have more carts, and because one of the things that the problem we have at the smaller courses, they have lesser carts. When people come and want to see somebody or move around a little bit, they couldn't. So we're going to do Heritage. Obviously, we appreciate your love and your support.
Well, that thing has grown so much from the first time.
And so, we're excited, and a lot of the money is going to different charities. So obviously, we support a school, we support music. Autism kids, they have what you call social skill issues, and there are a couple of organizations that we